community leader, basketball savant, training professional. Jelani Matthews is the founder of I Can Basketball Training. Since its existence, Jelani has been a vessel in the Blake Street community for thousands of youth that wanted to share their passion for sport. Jelani has worked alongside powerful brands such as Jordan, Nike Toronto, and the NBA Academy. Jelani embodies Black leadership. This is a culture conversation.
Hey, what's up, world? Checking in. I'm your host of A Culture Conversation, Twin GQ. We're here for episode 4, Black Leadership, here with a special guest, one of my OGs and mentors, an avid ambassador of the culture and an educator for the youth, my man Jelani Matthews. What's up, bro?
What's going on,
How you doing?
Thank you, man.
Yeah, for sure, man. First and foremost, we want to give you a great shout out. You've been doing purposeful work in the community. I'm giving you your flowers today. Obviously, we came a long way. We grew up, we came under the same kind of tribe. Obviously, when I was ascending to making that step in the professional realm of basketball, I had great leaders such as yourself that impacted me in a way I can't even, put into words. So, yeah, man, it's good to have you here. And like I said, we're going to get into talks about Black leadership, culture, basketball, obviously your journey, a little bit about your backstory too. So, yeah, we're just going to start in. And, man, how you doing, bro?
I'm good, man. I'm good. I can't complain. I'm excited to be here, share a story. Talking in front of cameras is not something I usually do, but it was you asked, man, and I said, for sure, I definitely got to share my piece and share my insight, and especially when it comes to like leadership in our communities and impacting youth is something that I'm passionate about beyond basketball. That impact piece is important, whether they play or not. It's just making sure, you're passing on that knowledge to the next generation and developing and going on to life and being successful.
Yeah, and it's crazy because a lot of OGs in our era, obviously growing up, they're probably telling you to go the other way, so it's great that you're still investing in the community, from a good place. You've traveled that road that many don't, you know what I mean? And you're not one to talk about what you've done, but your legacy speaks for itself.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
That was the whole concept of just like how I want to do things. I didn't want to be about me or my journey or what I've done. I kind of just wanted to be about their speak and their story and how they've overcome their adversities. And I'm just a helping hand, man. Like I tell parents all the time, my job is done when me and your son or daughter can have a beer together and you're off in college, university, or an adult. I'm good. And if your goal is to be a pro or to keep rocking out after college, and you can rock out and keep getting better. But the goal is a scholarship, free education, and let's take it from there and see where it goes.
Yeah, for sure. So first and foremost, man, how are you keeping up with this whole COVID? Adjusting to life and, our new reality?
Man, I wouldn't say I'm adjusting. I'm maintaining. Maintaining what we've done before that. Obviously, there's rules and bylaws in place that hinder me from doing things, but I'm doing okay without breaking the law and being in gyms and crowding the spaces up. I've done pretty well in terms of just mentoring guys. I'm doing more and more film sessions more than ever. I've always been a film advocate, and now my high school guys are watching college film. Young boys are watching high school or women's basketball to kind of learn the right way. But throughout COVID, I've spent a lot of time just on synergy with a lot of my college guys and CIS guys, just going over film. If they're not playing, let's watch film from last year. And if they're playing this year, let's watch all your possessions and see where your new reads are, see what plays you could have made and what the right possession should have looked like. But I found that I spent a lot of time just developing their brains, but as well as mine. I've dabbled into boxing. I've done different things now in the time that I've had, and I'm starting to read a bit more, starting to do different things. So I'm just taking this time to better myself and take it easy, as well as being sure that when the green light's on and the go time, that my product is better, my information is better, and the knowledge I'm going to pass on is the right stuff. Yeah,
and absolutely. I got to tap in with you. We collaborated on the G2S Cab with Mike in your neighborhood, your community you grew up in, and I've seen obviously that generation of you passing the torch to Mike and being that mentorship and that community leader to him, and me being there and a part of that grind, and I have that chance to now work with both of you guys. It's amazing stuff, especially when you talk about where we come from. We talk about growing up in impoverished communities. You know what I mean? So talk about your childhood and what it was like for you growing up in the neighborhood like Blake.
Man, So many people don't know this. My childhood started actually in this neighborhood in Parkdale. So I grew up in Parkdale here first, and that's where like my love for basketball kind of started. I wouldn't say it took off. Blake definitely did that for me, but got introduced to basketball in this area, and then I was a kid that played multiple sports. I was into karate a lot. I liked to fight, so that was like one thing that I did a lot when I was in Sage. And then I moved to Blake, and there's basketball courts like everywhere you look in Blake at this point. You know, every school has a court. So jumped on the court one day, and I met the rest of the Blake kids I grew up with, and that's where it kind of took off. But growing up over there, definitely in our neighborhood, you definitely mature a bit faster. You just preview the things that you shouldn't be at a certain age, see things that you shouldn't see. So being in that, having an older brother, having a lot of the OGs notice that, basketball was my thing, they kind of kept me away from the stuff that I shouldn't be doing. And obviously you're a kid, you dabble, you go into fights, you steal from stores, you do all kind of stupidness, but you're a kid. But I never really got into the street stuff and the street life. So definitely basketball kept my head on a straight, narrow path. That was my ticket. Obviously, as a kid, you make mistakes and you mess up your tickets along the way. And I've always been this like hard-nosed, mouthy little kid. To this day, I'm just a hard-nosed, mouthy adult, so it hasn't really much changed. But I mean, I've always been that kind of person, speak my mind and just be true to who I am. And as I got older, I realized some things have to change and to be successful, and that's when I made those changes. But for the most part, I'm still the same Blake kid, man. Like I keep saying, I'm just a kid from the hood that, I ended up where I am, and thank God for where I'm at and the blessings He's given me, but I'm still just that kid from the hood.
Yeah, absolutely. And you talk about it in a sense where it's like you're just true authentic to yourself. We talk about using sport in an impoverished community to come from a place of struggle to get out of the hood. So talk about, how you use basketball as a tool or a vehicle to kind of get you outside of your environment.
I mean, yeah, basketball definitely, we hear the story all the time that basketball is your tool or your ticket or vehicle to success, but we don't really hear like how it really impacted you. When I was younger, I didn't realize, showing up to practice on time, taking constructive criticism, listening to coaches, hitting adversity during games, hitting adversity in life, and then continuing to push forward. You don't realize how much latent skills you're learning from those things until you become an adult. And I tell people I know all the time, my wife, for example, tell her, I'm like, man, I don't know where I'll be if I didn't have adversity. Like, I need it. It's something I need. If my day goes perfectly fine, something's wrong. Something needs to happen. A flat tire, I got to be late, missed the bus. There's got to be some kind of adversity for me to know to keep me on track. I work well with adversity. I need it. Something that I don't look forward to because obviously you're pissed off when it hits, but, there's nothing that I can't overcome what I feel, and I made it this far in life with the knocks against you and the schools and transferring and the bad name you get and all that stuff. So I definitely think adversity is something that has helped me and shaped who I am and continues to shape who I am and who I'm going to be as I continue to grow and learn. I'm a student of life. That's how I look at it. But being from my neighborhood, man, those trials and tribulations definitely helped shape me, and using basketball was my step or my escape from the realities that I was facing, whether you had food at home or things are going on at home, you're in a one-parent family or you're having trouble at school. Basketball was always my tool. And as I got through high school and to college, basketball has always been that way, whether I was stressed out with schoolwork. Once I got into the gym, I got into those lines. That was my sanctuary. And we're kids that feel, especially with COVID, man, no sports, no after-school programs, no safe havens. And some of these kids, that hot meal at school was the only meal they got. Or, the basketball, going to the Boys and Girls Club and shooting until 11 p.m. at night and then going home just to, eat and sleep. Some of these kids can't spend their time at home, so I think COVID's definitely affected them, and they're not being able to do that. But to get a bit off topic, let me go back to basketball being my tool.
Man, you good, bro.
Yeah, I used it to get to college, obviously, and then it took me around the world for a bit. And then as I came home, I definitely used it to get the job that I have today, working my 9 to 5. I don't think if I didn't play basketball, I wouldn't have those skills and those tools to work for a corporation, take constructive criticism and deal with adversity and deal with the tribulations that come with working in the inner city and these communities, because every community is different, man. And when things hit, when tragedies happen in communities, when COVID happens, you got to touch back down on the community and you got to affect change. So I think basketball definitely helped me in that aspect. And where I don't see there's never a problem that I can't solve or I can't handle. If I can't handle it today, there's tomorrow. I'm going to get to it. But basketball definitely being that vehicle for me. And that's what we kind of teach all these young guys you come into contact with. I try to change it a bit more than basketball because it's definitely more than basketball at the end of the day.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it's crazy because I feel like when you're growing up, you know, and especially in your area, when you're growing up in lower inner city communities, right? Like, there's so much diversity you face on a day to day.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Just waking up in your environment, you might take the wrong turn and you're in some shit.
Yeah.
You know, definitely. So it's crazy that you say like adversity is something that, you know, you do well with. Like, you need adversity, and I feel like every person that grew up in a lower inner city community in your era, you know, adversity is something that we needed to get to that,
right,
you know, that top. And you think about ascending in basketball, you know, and then you're going to go through those same adversities and those minor challenges, and it just kind of breeds what we call the mental toughness.
Definitely.
You know, and I feel like in this generation, a lot of these kids, because they grew up not with those first world problems or adversity, it's hard for them to like identify now with like adversity when they're not playing in school, or they don't have an opportunity to be that player they thought they were, or
right,
their expectations are not met. You know, and then they start to blame other people for their opportunities or for not holding themselves accountable.
Definitely.
So it's crazy that you say that. And, you know, obviously taking basketball now as a tool, you know, you played professionally, obviously, in London, and I've seen you do all these great things from afar. And it's crazy because I remember when you were graduating and you were telling me when I was about to go to RA, you're like, yo, you know, what are you taking? Sociology, yo, make sure, like, you need anything, like, you know, I got you, bro. I took it, bro. I know how to write papers if you need anybody to kind of, like, help you with that stuff, man, you know, and it goes a long way. You know, you're in the community on the front line with these kids, you know, and I've seen it because I've been there, you know, so it's crazy because there's not a lot of people that are doing that take that stance. You know, we talk about black nationalism, you know, and we always have those talks about like the Muhammad Ali's of the world, the Malcolm X's, and what those guys stood for, you know what I mean? And those are the same things that like they were preaching. You know, you got to be selfless. You got to do things from a loving place. You know, you talk about you training kids at one point in time for free.
Yeah, I mean,
you know what I mean?
It's still for free at some point. It's funny, man, because, you know, it's a little nomination going around, nominating black mentors, trainers, coaches, and stuff, and it's cool. I think it's great, especially during Black History Month. But like I said in my post, man, like, my Black history is every day. I don't need the month to tell me to celebrate my Black history. I'm Black every day. I deal with it. The other point is, we're nominating a bunch of trainers and coaches and people who get paid to do what they do. Their mentorship comes with a price. Mm. If a kid can't afford to pay for training, you don't mentor them. You know, so like people are mentoring or nominating me, but I'm like, man, there's other guys that deserve this more than I do. I get paid for this, whether I get paid a lot or a little bit. They're paying something for this, but there's guys that do this for free. There's programs out here, People's Basketball, Yace. New Step. There's just programs out here that do this for free for the inner city. Those are the guys that need to be nominated and spoke about. You know, Justin Bob, the director at MLSC Launchpad, like, those are the real mentors. You know, mind you, yeah, I mentor you. It comes with a cost. You know, if you weren't my client, I wouldn't mentor you. So I just find that, like, being selfless and giving back and being true to, like, who you are is key. But we live in a world where it's instant gratification. Everybody wants to post and clout, and there's gatekeepers, right? And there's gatekeepers of the sport. And if our gatekeepers aren't keeping the space safe, what are we gonna do? And we know we talk about black leadership a lot, and basketball, let's be honest, basketball, football, they're black spaces.
Yep.
And if our gatekeepers, our mentors are black, and they're the ones that are running the programs, and they're not keeping the space safe, and it's about clout and ownership of kids, what mentoring are we really doing unless you're gaining something from that mentorship, right? And for me, it's the other way around, man. I just want to see you do good. I don't need the clout. I don't want the fame. I don't need you to be like, oh, I train with Jelani. I'm an Icon ball guy, and you know he helped you make it. You don't got to mention me a day in your life, ever. I just want to make sure that you play better level basketball than I have. You got to your goals. You got to your dreams, and I'm just a passenger, man. I'm here. I'm living vicariously through everybody I work with.
Yep.
You know, whether they're you know, it's playing the best level for themselves, whether it's CIS, OCAA, NCAA, men's league, whatever it is. play, enjoy it.
Yeah.
You know, I live vicariously through that. So I think in terms of like mentorship, sometimes we get it mixed up, especially in the city, especially in our communities, because, you know, it's crabs in a barrel here, right? So
Tell me about it.
we get it mixed up, or we think it's mentorship, but, you know, if you weren't the top kid in your class, would this person be on your shoulder? Would be by your side? We don't know that, right? So I think when it comes to sports, especially here, there's a lot of politics that get involved that stop that real thorough relationship building mentorship, unless, you know, like you're working in that Boys and Girls Club, or you're working with those inner city kids. Like, those people aren't there to get paid. They're there because they love what they do, you know? But when it comes to like the training business and the coaching, yeah, you know, there's people that just do this because they love it. But when it comes to training, majority of the time you love it, but there's money involved, even if a bit technical.
Yeah, so for you, how are you able to separate that? Because obviously you're a community guy. You've served the community for over a decade, obviously. You know, you bleed Blake Street. So how are you able to kind of separate that when you're saying, okay, now I'm a community guy, but now I have a business that I got to run? And how do you now separate the two, or still be able to serve the community while getting paid for your services in your business?
I struggle with that to this day. That's something I struggle with, something I fight myself about. The first thing I did was I made sure my rates were cheap, competitive, but cheaper than all the other trainers, or close to the price.
Yeah.
And then to just be thorough to like who I am and where I grew up, I made sure that when I started this training thing, I started where I played. I made sure it stays in Blake Monday and Fridays. No matter how much money you offer me to train elsewhere or go elsewhere, on Monday and Fridays, stay in Blake. Like right now during COVID, obviously there's nothing happening. I don't train Monday and Fridays at all. Like my Monday and Fridays are off limits. It's going to stay clear because that's my home. I mean, this whole I Can Ball came from that. That's what this started. You know, I Can Ball started way before I got paid to ever train a kid. It started with Mike and Janelle. They were in grade 5, 6, and I was in grade 9 or grade 8. Actually, I lied. It started with Vanessa, even younger than that. So Vanessa Kabongo, Jaleel Smith, like those guys. They started with them, and I was just in grade 8 coaching the local team. You know, and one of our mentors died when I was in grade 11. So going back and coaching and training was something that I always thought that I had to do, as a responsibility that I had to do. You know, Kempton Howard got shot and died, and I was in high school. You know, and a lot of us took it rough. So we realized there was a gap. There was no OGs really coaching now. There was no one coming back to do that. Everybody else is dealing with their life. So there's been a void at the center since. And so I try to step in and just not necessarily fill that void, but give them an aspect that, you know, we're here, we'll coach you, we'll train you. Kempton was a bit more of a friendly mentor than I was. I was very militant when I was young. I'm still militant now. A lot nicer now than I was when I was younger.
Yeah.
But so a couple kids, you know, I definitely probably turned them away a bit. Probably some physical assault with a basketball rifled at their head or something, but which I still do from time to time now. But I was just extremely militant because that's just how I came up, and I was trained by several guys, and they were hard-nosed guys. So that's just the environment I was in. But that was the beginning of I Can Ball before I even knew it.
That's crazy.
You know, I was coaching. I was in grade 8 coaching the grade 17 at my school, at my elementary school. Like I was always been doing things like that. And I remember Pat at ECU.
Shout out to Pat one time.
I will never forget this.
Yep.
I was like in grade 8, and he came to me and it said, "You're gonna be a really good coach one day. You're gonna be a really good teacher." And it kind of like stuck with me. And obviously in grade 8, you're like, "Man, teacher, we talk about I'm going to the NBA. Teacher, I'm not gonna be a coach. I'm going to the league." You know, and it kind of like stuck in the back of my head. And as I got older, I realized that as much as I love playing, man, and as good as I was, I'm way better at teaching you other people how to play. I'm real better at getting something out of you that you didn't know you had. I'm better at that than I am at playing. And as I finished playing, the first thing I did, man, is I went back to Blake. It's the first thing I did. I went back to Blake, and I just started training kids for free. Unfolded from there, I got one private school kid that was coming down to the neighborhood and working on. The mom asked me how much I charge. I said, "Charge? I don't charge." She goes, "Well, my son trains with Vlad." And, you know, shout out Vlad, the leader of this game, I say, in Toronto, this training game for us, probably the most household name we got. She was training with him, and She was like, I paid that this much. I'm gonna pay you this much. And I'm like, sure. Cool, I'll take it. Like, I'm like, cool, I'll take it. Like, I have no questions asked. I didn't even have the business set up, nothing.
Yeah.
So he was coming down twice a week, 3 times a week from uptown in the hood. And I'm looking at it, I'm like, yo, this is crazy. I got Regent Park kids in here. I got Blake kids in here. I got Bleecker kids in here. And this was the start of, I brought that group of kids to Northern Kings. They weren't even a team yet. Yeah. We were just working out at the time. Yeah. And I was like, man, this is nuts. I got this kid from private school who has never seen anything that our guys are dealing with, ever. And he comes to the hood to work out every week, and nothing's happened to him. I'm like, yo, this is perfect. I'm breaking barriers right now. Man, growing up, playing in citywide, playing in Baba Bay House League at a young age, I met Marlo, guys like Nat, Junior Kadugan. So you're going from downtown to the far west, to the far east, playing against Scarborough Knights, and you had no clue that you're playing Galloway, Kingston Galloway Boys and Girls Club, and you have no idea that this is G-Way. Like, you don't even know this is G-Way. You don't know this is 4301. You know nothing. So I'm playing against them, and next thing you know, Carabana weekend, things are about to pop off. I see a guy that I know, I stop it. And they're like, oh, this is nuts. I just broke up a fight. This guy could have died on Young Street. But the citywide and these leagues, these little Boys and Girls Club leagues, they started breaking barriers between communities. So when I started training again, that was the first thing that popped in my head. I was like, man, I got to break these barriers. I got to get kids from different neighborhoods working out together. I got like kids from the private schools coming down to the hood and working out. Although we're living in shambles or living with these adversities, these are good kids, man. Next thing you know, you're sleeping at this kid's house in Uptown. He's sleeping at your house in the hood. And you're breaking these barriers, right? So that was the first thing that I wanted to do was that. And it kind of just unfolded, man. I have no clue how. It just did it itself. One kid goes to college, another kid comes. One guy goes to pro, you get another pro, and next thing you know, I'm getting a phone call with Jordan Brand. I'm like, what? What's going on here? Jordan Brand's calling me. They're in Toronto for All-Star Weekend. They want me to be involved in this clinic. I'm supposed to support the trainer. So I'm like, cool. I get there. Anthony's working it. So the first thing Anthony comes to close me over, he goes, well, Jake, you got to run the show. This is you. I know, what do you mean? I'm here to help this guy. He's like, nah, bro. This is you. It's your time. So I'm like, all right. So I'm just on my side of the court. Anthony's on my side of the court, making sure the energy's there. And I'm just following the other guys' drill. After the first session, all the Jordan Brand reps are clapping. I'm like, yo, this is great. You did a great job. And I'm like, following that guy. But it looked like I was running the show. And I looked at Anthony, he goes, yo, he's like, bring everything you got. Do it. Forget this guy. This is your show. It's your city. And I was like, all right. And things just opened up from there, man. Like, I did Jordan Brand, did Africa 4 times, and the Africa called. And things just started to unfold. I met Jerry Powell when I first started it. And I met Jerry here. Me and Jerry connected. He's a New York City legend. And next thing you know, I called Jerry. I'm like, hey, Jerry, can I come over to New York? He's like, yeah, anytime. Man, the next day I booked my flight. I was over there by that weekend. Took an Uber to the gym. First thing he saw, he was like, how'd you get here? I'm like, man, I took an Uber. He goes, cool, how you getting back to your aunt? I go, I don't know, I took an Uber. Man, took keys out of his car and goes, no, take my car. Gave me a car for the week. I'm a famous New York City trainer who's trained anyone out of upstate New York in his gym, learning from him. And next thing you know, he's throwing clients at me. I'm training guys. I'm making a little change while I'm there. I'm flying back home, taking that knowledge. I'm spreading it with the young guys. And Icon Ball kind of just became its own. I never expected to be training pros or traveling or doing any of that. I literally just wanted to give back to my community and make sure that basketball came back to the city. You look at the landscape. When I was in high school, the talent was in the city. The landscape is now the talent in the suburbs. Kids who can afford trainers, kids who can afford to play rep. You can't do that downtown. Kids can't do it. So I made sure that I can ball stay true to like who I am, and to balance that both. Anyone that lives in PCHC, trains for free. That's just my model, and it will just remain the same for now as long as I can afford to do so. If I got to charge, it could be $2 or $3. I want to make sure that you're investing in yourself and not just using you. That's what usually happens, especially in our communities, you know. But if I can impact change, I'm going to impact change where I can. So that's kind of why I kept the model the same. And I'm wrestling with it now because obviously COVID puts you in a hole. Gym prices go up. You know, the gatekeepers are opening, spaces are happening, and prices are expensive. rates are going up. So those are things we got to play with. But I definitely think I can still stay genuine to like who I am and why I do this. And obviously it's great to have the accolades and kids that go pro and kids that go D1. But honestly, training kids in my neighborhood, making sure they're being safe, they're in a safe space, and they're developing is more rewarding than anything else.
Yeah, bro, and like, yo, I always tell you, bro, I don't know how much times I gotta say this, but yo, bro, like, you're legendary, bro. Like the things that you've done in the community with the resources that you have, bro, like nobody I can even think of have done like what you've done. Like, you're talking about Jerry Powell, bro. When I went to New York City every summer, that's like a household name, bro. Yeah. And you know me, bro. I come from Felipe Lopez, Sham God, One Take B, and all these great legends in New York City, bro. And they're all saying like, yo, Jerry's that guy. You know what I'm saying? So it's so crazy that you talk about it, but do you see how the shift now changes when you're in America and everybody now wants to like share food on your plate? They don't want to close the door on you.
No, definitely.
You know what I'm saying? But over here, if you're a trainer and I'm a trainer, then you don't want to build with us because it's like it's competition.
Yeah.
So it's crazy, man. Like I don't know what the mentality of the culture, but when everybody doesn't have the great or right intentions, that's when everybody's
definitely. And it's not everybody here. Don't get me wrong. There's tons of great guys. Chester is amazing. Yeah. What he does, we've collabed and done camps together. Mm-hmm. There's plenty of trainers that have connected with me and we're about to do things. Or my guys at Loaded Skills, they reach out to me all the time to pick my brain, send kids my way, and vice versa. Videl's been a great mentor to me from a young age, man. Yeah. I've known Vi since I was 8 years old. Yeah. So when you get into the basketball politics and people talk about, hey man, why are you messing with Northern Kings or you're too close to this program, we can't have you around our guys. I'm like, yeah, man, I understand you, and I'll never try to change your mind if that's how you feel. It's your program, but you gotta understand, man. I've known Vi since I was 8 years old. Vi is one of my OGs, man. And like you keep saying it, your family tree. Having mentors is probably one of the best things you can do, especially being a young guy and being older in this game now, being an adult. I still got mentors, and I'm still reaching out to people. And as I grow and learn and meet people, I continue to reach out to them and continue to show love, man. Yeah. So having Vi at a young age, having Donovan Dill, man. Without Donovan Dill, I don't think I would have played basketball. That guy was my dad, man. Like
Donnie from.
No, so you're thinking of Donnie, Ronnie's dad. They come from the same lineage. Both Central Tech guys. Donovan Dill. So you had Ro Russell on one side, which is probably the godfather of the AAU basketball. There was no one really doing AAU, and probably the only team. Yeah. And then on the other side, a community guy, where I get a lot of my theory from, our philosophy why I'm back in the community has been Donovan Dill. So Donovan Dill is a downtown guy, went to Central Tech, transferred to North Toronto, City All-Star, Golden Gloves boxer, played at Arcadia, won multiple dunk-offs. So he started a basketball program called Power Camp. It's a basketball camp. You went in the summer, every day of the week was a camp, and then you went every Friday. I used to go to the summer camp every day and then go to his Friday night workouts with the high school guys. Yeah. Take the bus from the lake all the way to West Toronto with my sister. Yeah. And my brother, whoever wanted to bring me that day, be in the gym with him, and he turned into my dad. He was like my dad. I got in trouble at school, my mom would call Donovan. Kids get in trouble in school today, they call me. It just turned into a cycle. It just came full circle. So Donovan started it, between Donovan and Ranford Foster, which is another Regent Park downtown legend, man. They called Ranford the Machine. Everyone's like, man, how did my jumper get so good? I'm like, man, you guys had no clue I couldn't shoot. My shot was broke. Broke all through high school. I went through different forms, all kind of stuff. Ranford had me shooting on 11-foot rims with no backboard, no mesh in downtown, which is Rivertown now. And running hills with him at Riverdale. He only trained girls. Only a few guys he worked out with. It was myself, his nephew, Tristan Blackwood. Rest of the guys, literally, was just girls. And that was like my beginning. So, I had Donovan, Ranford, Vidal, and then obviously, Jamie Crumbs, who coaches with me at Icon Balls.
Coach Jamie. Shout out to Coach Jamie.
Crumbs coached me at a young age too. I was like in grade 9, 10. Running with Crumbs.
So you played for Citywide. You played with Ennis?
Nah, see, this is before he was in Ennis. He was at Brown. He went to Ennis after that. So he had he's an Oakwood guy. He's a West Ender. So because of my ties to Parkdale, my ties to Oakwood were tight because those guys are Parkdale guys. So, the Nolans, Jamal, Nat was obviously a West End guy, but He was at Oakwood.
Oakwood, yeah.
Mike Giorgio, Anthony Giorgio. So because
from U of T.
The U of T, and because of Boys and Girls Club basketball, St. Albans was their home. Blake played St. Albans all the time. So, like I said, you were breaking barriers, making relationships, and now to this day, Mike's at U of T. We're on synergy together, bouncing ideas off each other, trying to help him recruit guys if they want to go to U of T or whatnot. He gets me gym time to work out the pros, like. So now those relationships are coming full circle, right?
For sure.
But like that's how tight like the basketball community is, and that's how key having mentors are. Without those mentors, there was no me knowing anyone at St. Albans and the Tonys and going over there and working and doing those things. That's things that don't happen without that.
Yeah.
You know, and so that's kind of like my base started from there, and then honestly, Madman, Top Gun, being in that gym, being Matt Lieker every Monday, every Friday, and every Saturday was the beginning of.
Yeah, you know what's crazy? I remember at Matty Ecker, I think it was like the first week I got back from New York, St. Francis. I came to you and you took me there the first time. That was my first workout since I came back from America. You're like, yo, F with me. Madman, I remember him. He's like, yo, I remember you from Top Gun. So it's so crazy. You're throwing all these names and it's like, I'm like there. Like, you know, when you came back to Blake and like when Mike was just getting to Texas, you're like, yo, come through. We was working out like Mike. Nobody knew, but like, I looked up to Mike, you know what I'm saying? So to be able to now work out in the same gym, family tree, where you're the OG to him, it's like you said, full circle.
It comes full circle, right? That's the whole point of like I Can Ball was I just want to make sure it's full circle. Now I'm training Donovan's kids now. Like now I'm training guys that I worked out with, but you know, having mentors is huge, man. And like I said, at every stage you get to, you're gonna need a mentor. Whether you're a kid, you're in college, you're in high school, you're gonna need that mentor. So for me, leaning on different guys, man. Like some of my friends have mentored me. Justin Bob's been huge in my development, especially transitioning from the college game to the CIS game. University, when we played, it was a lot more structured. I was playing way too fast, too small, dribbling too much, getting too deep in the key, things like that. So I worked with O'Neal Kamaka for a full year, literally full year. I went to every George Brown practice, and I worked with Kamaka for a full year, just slowing down, reading the game, and then
that's what I'm saying. I remember. You, the first time I met Nolan, you told me to come to George Brown. We was working out.
So, so it goes way back, man. Like that's why it's great to see all these guys now in the game. They're coaching, they're trainers, or they're coaching at the college level, or they're just working in the community, giving back to where they're from, right? So, I mean, it comes full circle. I'm happy that my group of friends, my circle is tight, and my circle is all full of people who are ambitious like this and want to give back and continue to give back to the younger generation, because man, our rent here on earth is to service the other people, right? So if we don't do that, then what's next?
And you know, you look at like the current climate of the world and the things that are going now, but you know, I like I said, I owe it to guys. Like I said, you're talking about your mentors and your founding fathers, the people that did it before you, and same thing with me. You know, like I stopped thinking about, you know, how far I could get with the game, and I started worrying about the work that needed to be done in the respective community. I come from Scarborough. You already know how it is there, right? You can't be the guy that makes it out without somebody trying to pull you back down. You know what I'm saying? So the same thing that you were saying, like I was trying to say, okay, if this is how the mentality of these people are, let me try to now shed light on the other side. You know what I'm saying? And, you know, things like, you know, my community charity game was in birth there. And, you know, like you said, just being that open mentor to the youth, man. Like, you don't know what your words serve to them, man. But, you know, like I said, now as I'm approaching, you know, next chapter of my life, I'm looking at now myself as a young OG, bro, where I'm like now giving gems to the kid that's going to college. You know what I mean? And like I said, there's guys like you, guys like Chess, you know what I mean? Shout out to my big homies in New York City too, that were always that avid voice for me. Like, yo, keep grinding, bro. You're doing great things in the community. Yeah, you know what I'm saying? And it's like, to be here on this platform, bro, to share, you know, this unique conversation with you in person now, you know, it's like now that I'm looking back at all the things that we had to go through in terms of training, grinding, you know, from the first day you started your business. And I'm just like, yo, Jay, bro, you got something going, you know, and to see all the people that you impacted, all the pros that you done touched that nobody knows about, you know what I mean? It's like the greatest story never told, you know what I mean? So,
man, I don't think it would ever get told. I'm just not that kind of guy. Like I said, man, if they want to share the stories and who they've been working with, great. But for me, it's more about giving more value than I receive in payment. and it's always going to be that way. And in the end, I'll win.
Yep. You might have to say that for the camera, bro.
Yeah, it is, man. That's one of the stratifications of life. If you give more value and you receive in payment, you're gonna get paid in the end. It's gonna come, right? It's gonna come full circle. So that's always my big piece, man. And like I said, having mentors at every step you go is huge, man. And as I continue to grow, I start to meet guys, man. Like you said, it's crazy how small the world is, man. I'm in Philly working at camp, and you hit me, you're like, yo, you're in Philly? I'm like, yeah. You're like, oh, you should mess with my guy, JC. I'm like, yeah, he's supposed to be working this camp with me. Next thing you know, he can't make it. I work the camp. I do a pretty good job. He hears I do a good job. He just reaches out of nowhere.
Yeah.
He's like, yo, man, I heard you did a good job, man. Definitely got to kick with you. You got to get up, man. I'm like, cool. A year later, I'm on my Instagram, and I noticed he just landed in Pearson. So I just hit him up. I'm like, yo, what do you say, JC? You're in Toronto. He goes, yeah, man. I'm like, how you getting downtown? What's up with the cat? I'm like, nah, bro, I'll come get you. I've never met that guy before in my life. He's never met me. Got in my car. I was just left work. I just got home. Literally turned around, went to the airport, picked him up, went downtown. It's 11 o'clock. He's about to work out an NBA player. I'm like, can I come? He's like, yeah, for sure. But obviously, NBA guys' schedules are different. One of the players is at home with his daughter, waiting for his daughter to finish. So he didn't get to the gym until like 1 a.m. So he's like, yo, Jay, just go home. I know you got work in the morning. We'll get up. So I didn't get to get in the gym with him, but the fact that he was just open to me being in there and I was open to receiving that has made our relationship so much tighter. A year after that, I'm in LA working the same camp as JC. He's never seen my work before. He's only heard that I've been doing decent work, and he's there mentoring me and showing me different stuff, and we're chopping it up. And like now, I'm on the phone anytime I got advice or I need advice on work or I need to learn something. He's one of the first calls I make. So now my mentor and my family tree list starts to go like this. Instead of it being one-minded, now I'm like this. All over the place. You know, I got Jeff in LA, I got Jerry in New York, I got him in Philly. There's guys I met in Africa that are in Arizona. I got guys in Senegal. Like now you're starting to make these connections, and these are not just my friends. These are my mentors, man. I lean on these guys, and vice versa. So, like I said, man, I think mentorship is key. Whether you're just starting, at the tail end of it, but definitely leaning on people and them being able to lean on you is huge, especially for your growth.
Yeah, absolutely. So, as far as Black leadership, when you think of that term, Black, or that theme, Black leadership, like, what's the first thing that comes to mind?
Man, it's a tough question. I don't know exactly, man. I mean, for me, what Black leadership means, just for me in general, is the fact that our inner cities are full of marginalized people. Let's be real about it. The low income community is marginalized. So just being from those communities, being able to show these kids there's other ways out is the key piece for me. Like I said, man, I used basketball. We already know that now with the invention of phones and tablets and computers that kids don't play sports as much as they used to. That's the reality of it, you know. And the reality that I can run my program Monday and Fridays in Blake and have maybe 2 or 3 kids from the community be there. It's sad because when I was a kid, Monday and Fridays, you couldn't even get a hoop. All we did was hoop. All we did was play basketball. And if you weren't good at basketball, you tried to play. Now the gym will be empty. If I'm not in there, the gym will be empty. That's just the reality of it. The other reality is that our gatekeepers aren't in touch with us, right? The social norms have changed. It was taboo to smoke weed when I was a kid. It's normal now. You know, it's taboo to do opioids, and that's becoming normal at this point. So the world's changing, and norms are changing. But for me, in terms of Black leadership, I just think it's going back to those communities, going into the communities and affecting change where they need it the most. And whether that's using sports or science or education or music or whatever it is, using something as a vehicle to give them inspiration, to give them life, to give them something to breathe into. The other piece is holding them accountable, man, and you being held accountable. It's the other piece. If they're not ready to be held accountable, you're not going to get much going. So the big piece of like our company was, you know what, we want to be known for a no-nonsense, old-school approach to the game. And if that means you got to do mic-ins for an hour and a half, then you do mic-ins for an hour and a half. We're going to stay there. We're going to make sure that everything is age and stage appropriate, and you're going to go through these steps. You may not understand right now, but as you get older, you're definitely going to understand the notion of why we do those things. Absolutely. So that was the standpoint for me in terms of being a leader and going back to my community was I wanted to make sure that whatever we did, we're known for this no-nonsense, old-school approach. well, we're not too cool, so go back and do the basics, and then use these things as tools to get you there. The leadership piece from basketball comes from that relationship after you build with that child. They become like my little brothers now. Now I know where you're taking this school. I know how you're doing this. Your mom's calling you calling me. You're away in college, we talk. We're on FaceTime. We're going through these things. And it's funny because when I'm in Bermuda training, another one of my mentors, Coach Crump, he saw me like on my phone, texting away and answering FaceTime from Dane. I get off the call and he's like, yo, you charge for that? I'm like, no. He's like, Jay, there's so much more extra money time. I'm like, nah, bro, that's part of the service, man. Yeah. No, for real, I'm telling you. Yeah. I'm like, I know what you're saying and I understand you, but I can't do it. I just can't. That's part of the leadership. That's part of the black leadership. It's part of the black excellence that we have to be doing. It has to be more than just basketball. It can't be just me drilling you. It's more, and me and Dane got a pretty good relationship. Most of the guys I work with, we got a pretty good relationship. It only really happens as they get older and get into their 18, 19 adult years where we can kind of like start and like talk about life.
Absolutely.
But man, I just think black leadership in general starts on the ground, and it starts with putting yourself in the forefront and being that catalyst for changing, being that example for changing. I get it. School's not for everybody. Basketball's not for everybody, but there's certain fundamental things you need to have to be successful, and it starts with the latent skills you learn from either working, being in school, playing sport.
Absolutely. So, well said, brother. Like I said, man, you took the words right out of my mouth. Now we're going to turn to something we like to do here called Quick Hitters, where I'm just going to say some rapid questions you get to answer. So, top 5 favorite rappers of all time, bro.
Jay-Z.
God MC.
Yeah.
God MC.
I'm a little old school, so I'm a conscious guy. You know this, so we've talked about music for decades. I'm a Common guy. I love Common. Philippe, Most. Most Def, like those are like my lineage. So anything conscious has been like my thing growing up. As I get into the new school, I like Kendrick. I like Cole. You know, those are like my guys. So I'm a conscious guy. I'm not really into the mumble rap. You know, although Travis Scott's cold, it's just not really my thing.
That's not
He's
you.
cold, but it's just not really my thing.
Yeah.
But if I had to go top 5, man, I'm going Jay-Z, Biggie. I'm throwing Big L in there.
Shout out to Harlem one time.
I'm throwing Big L in there. I'm going with Pac.
Yep.
And probably Most Def.
Yes, and they right there.
Yeah.
Okay, so top 3 favorite sneakers of all time, bro. I know you're a sneaker guy, bro. So I had to put you on the spot.
Am I hooping in them or am I wearing them on the street?
Nah, if you could wear these shoes for the rest of your life.
All right. Breads, definitely.
11? Sorry. Once, okay. All right.
One's definitely.
Self-explanatory on your feet,
one's definitely. Top 3, that's tough, man. One's definitely. I'm always been a Jordan guy, so it's been 1s, 2s, and 12s have always been my favorite. Man, I played in 12.
Oh, which one?
French Blues.
Okay, those
Sheridan, Coach Fleg used to rip off my head.
Damn, bro.
I would bring my New Balances when I would try to sneak when I would warm up in my
just 12,
just to see if I could push it.
Yo, those are comfortable shoes, bro.
Just so I could push it. But definitely those are my top 3. I mean, if I'm hooping, Pro Models will be the number 1. I played in Pro Models for years in high school. People don't know this, but Steve Nash came out with a shoe, a low, the first logo shoe I ever wore with the straps. They were up tempos. I can't remember the whole name of them though, but they were Nike with the strap on it. Those are probably one of the most comfortable shoes I ever played in. But it's always been Pro Models, those, and Kobe's.
Okay, that's what's up. And then top 5 African American leaders, bro, because I know you're tapped in.
Yeah, that's hard for me.
Okay, top 3 then.
That's hard, but Malcolm is definitely there. Ali's my favorite athlete. And the third, Huey Newton.
Yeah, bro. Like, I'm reading that book, Blood Brothers. Malcolm and Muhammad.
It's cold.
Cold, bro. I'm telling you, man. Like, and that's the thing. Like, you talk about militancy and just being militant. Bro. Malcolm was different, bro.
For me, Malcolm and Ali touched me a bit different, but you would understand too. I mean, my dad is a converted Islam. My mom is Seventh-day Adventist, So I grew up in a household that wasn't very too strong on religion because my dad wasn't around too much. But when my dad was around, he was very militant. So I would come home from school and we'd have Quran. So it's written on a blackboard and we gotta pray and read out the Quran.
Yeah.
So he's always been like that, kind of like, that's where my militant attitude comes from. My dad was like that, very disciplined. My mom, disciplined, but yet very nice. So she came from a very strict Seventh-day Adventist household, so she never pushed it on us just because she hated it.
Yeah.
Not the religion, but just hated the practices.
Yeah.
Not being able to do nothing Friday and all kind of stuff. So by the time she had kids, she never forced us on those things. So being in that two house, definitely. So Malcolm has always been something that spoke to me, just his journey and finding Islam, and then obviously finding the nation, and then finding Islam, I like to say, as it is. So not to say the nation isn't Islam, but their preachings were a bit different at that time.
Exactly.
So, and then Muhammad Ali, obviously the same thing, and his approach to it, and obviously being an athlete has always spoken to me. And a lot of people don't know this, but so I took karate from when I was like 5 to like 16. And my sensei, another black sensei, one of the few black senseis, he looked up to Muhammad Ali. So his thing was called the Iron Butterfly. So he had me watch Muhammad Ali film at a young age. So I was brainwashed. It's always been like one of my favorite athletes. Yeah. So that's where it started. And obviously Huey Newton, he's gangster.
Yeah.
Gangster by the book, found ways, educated.
Yeah.
You know, so I've always loved that story.
That's what's up. And then the last thing we'd like to do here is closing on a message on to yourself. So if you're going to give like a message to your younger self, what would that be?
Message to myself. You don't know everything. Just shut up and listen.
Wow.
Shut up and listen. Definitely.
Those who know everything know nothing.
Definitely.
Sounds familiar, man.
Definitely. That would be the advice I'd give my younger self. But if I could do it all again, I probably would make the same mistake. I don't regret anything, man. Going to Sheridan was probably the best decision I made. Athletically and just for me personally, to be outside the city a bit, be at school, and Coach Flag definitely still mentoring me and coaching me to this day. And although I don't play anymore, definitely coaching me to this day. And going there and just finding myself and being at a school where I fit in, and being a kid that transferred. I go to 6 schools in 5 years. Transferring high schools, trying to find a place where you fit in. Going to Sheridan was just really where I found where I fit. And then I won my first championship off the bat my first year. Second year, I lead my team in scoring, falling a bit short. My third year, I go back to the OCAA finals, fall short. And then I go pro for England. But going there was definitely one of the best decisions I ever made.
Yeah, for sure. And, that concludes our special Black Leadership episode. First and foremost, I want to give a quick shout out to our product sponsorship, Topicware, along with our online media platform, All Black Market. Also, Jelani will be giving you directions where you can follow him at his social media.
Yeah, you guys can follow me at iCanBald.ca on Instagram and Jlan100, so that's JLAN100 on Twitter.
All right, there you have it, wrapping up this wonderful episode. I'm your host, TGQ, and we'll see you guys next week for episode 5. Peace.